Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Backlog Bunker. This week is going to be a little bit strange, because while I did have a few thoughts about the games that I played this week, I had far more thoughts about the topics I want to talk about this week. So many, in fact, that I'm just going to do multiple topics this week. There's no way I was going to save these until next week, and like I said, I had a lot of thoughts about them, so yeah, we're just going to do multiple topics this week, fuck it. To get to the game thoughts first, I played a lot of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance recently, after putting it on hold from like over half a year ago at this point. But yeah, I'm finally back to playing it, and I still don't really like it all that much. The most prevalent issue is absolutely the map length. I have been on a few of these maps, and they go like 15 plus turns every single time. To be the most fair to Path of Radiance, I haven't been counting turns when I played Awakening, but I've played that game 4 times now, and I think I would notice if those maps were particularly long compared to these. Especially when you start looking for what makes the turn so long, because off the top of my head, I think about a lot of Awakening maps, you will kill at least a handful of units every single turn. And this is balanced throughout the whole game. Even in the early game, when you only have 4 guys in the very first mission, you will kill at least 1 enemy unit in your first turn. However, a big part of the strategy in Awakening is knowing when to fight and when to back off. Just because some of your units will be able to push up and then kill somebody does not mean you should push all of your units up, because more often than not, enemies on the map will come to you, which means you'll have to spend a lot of time thinking about how you want to engage units before you don't have any time left to think. However, Path of Radiance does the exact opposite thing, and if you don't move all your units up every single turn, you're going to be spending a long time trying to catch them up later in the map, because very few of the enemies, if any of them, will try to move towards you. 2 of the obvious standout examples being Chapter 17, the very first part, where you spend a long time just getting through the swamp at the beginning of the map, and Chapter 18, where, aside from the units who are behind you at the beginning of the map, none of the enemy units inside will try to move towards you. So you have to spend a long time inching your way through the beginning of the map because you have to advance, but you can't advance too far because then you might activate too many of the enemy units. And on top of that, there's a recruitable unit that's extremely dangerous, so not only do you have to gate them off in a specific way so you don't accidentally kill them and they don't accidentally kill you, but then to recruit them in the first place, you have to also engage them in a very specific way. And unlike in Awakening, the enemy unit doesn't glow when you can recruit them with the character you're currently controlling, so you're going to be guessing about that too. So far, that's my biggest gripe about Path of Radiance. There's other small things like the UI being worse, but that one doesn't really take a long time to talk about because it's like the Japanese read right to left, we read left to right. There's not really much to go on there. So on to our next pretty short topic. I replayed both Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2, and all I really have to say about them is that I might have been a little bit too kind to Mega Man 1, and I might have been a little bit too mean to Mega Man 2. I used to say that 2 was the obviously worst one between the 2 of them, but I think they're more equal now. 2 has higher highs in the actual levels, but Metal Blade still does ruin the game, and the Wily Castle is longer and worse. So my opinion on 1 hasn't really changed all that much, but my opinion of 2 has gone up, and so I think that they're about equal now. If I had to choose between one of the 2 of them to replay again, I'd probably choose 2, just because I'm used to its bullshit by now, so I can get used to that as opposed to 1's jank, which is harder to get over. But make no mistake, I do still like 1, I just also like 2 now, kinda. And then on the last topic, which is only kind of related to Mega Man, I was doing more programming for my game, and I got pretty frustrated because not a lot of people post their source code online, which is really annoying. So as a PSA, to really anyone who's making an open source project, but especially if it's something creative like game dev, make your code publicly available. GitHub is not hard to learn. You don't even have to like constantly update it with GitHub Desktop or anything like that, because you're probably not making it for a project like I am. You can just make the thing, and then make a GitHub account, and then just upload the files there. You just put all the files there, and it's there, and everyone can see it. Don't put all your files raw into a Google Drive or something stupid like that. Don't text your code into Reddit comments when people ask you questions. Just upload the files to GitHub. Just do that. It would make my and other people's lives so much easier. Because you know what? Game dev, it's not easy. It's a hard thing to do. So anything to make it easier would be appreciated. But that does kind of bring me to my first weekly topic, which a lot of people have defended by saying, guys, game dev is so hard. It's such a hard thing to do even though you're paying us money to do it. Which is that Marvel Tokon only has 20 characters at launch and 4 DLC coming up, which is not enough. The most obvious reason it's not enough is because the game is 4v4. If you're gonna have 4v4 teams, you should probably have a few more characters than 20. Especially when you're gonna be drawing comparisons to Marvel vs. Capcom, you should probably shoot for like 28. However, even if Marvel vs. Capcom didn't exist, this would still be a far too low number because Fighter Z came out with 24 characters. And I know it can sometimes be easy to forget, but Dragon Ball Fighter Z came out in 2018. A lot of people will defend this difference by saying, but Fighter Z has extra Gokus and Vegetas in it, which it doesn't. It has 2 extra Gokus and Vegetas in it, which is their blue versions. And not only do they play differently, but even if we removed the 2 of them, we'd still be 2 characters short in Tokon. And even if we got rid of 2 random people and had it add 20 at both, Fighter Z had 8 DLC characters in its first season, while Tokon has 4. And then here's where I hear the universal defense of, but guys, making games is so hard. It's so difficult to make games. They can't put so many characters in there. It's impossible. They lost the method. They don't know how. And they're right, game development is hard, I would know, but a huge difference is that I'm not being paid for it, and even though I'm not being paid for it, it wouldn't be any excuse to be doing worse work with more resources. What I've learned from people who accept Tokon only having 20 characters is that people have gotten a little bit too comfortable with the general idea that games are harder to make nowadays. Because when you really sit down and look at Dragon Ball FighterZ and Marvel Tokon, what meaningful difference have we been given in Tokon that would justify getting 4 less characters? 8 less if you want to count the DLC. Games are harder to make? Okay, why? Nothing has gotten better for us the consumer in the past few years, and yet games are more expensive and take longer to make. What changed? I played the Tokon beta, I had a fun time, but I also had a fun time playing FighterZ. I still have a fun time playing FighterZ. I've said before that it's not the game I love anymore, but I could turn on FighterZ right now and have just as much of a fun time on it as I had with Tokon. So thinking about it from my perspective, playing 2 games that are separated by 8 years, I had just as good a time with both of them, and yet one of them is more expensive and has less content. And yet I doubt we'll ever hear the end from the Defense Force saying how hard it is to make video games, like that's an excuse. In a somewhat similar vein of gamers defending things that they absolutely shouldn't, $20 for Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green each. And you know, say what you will about the Tokon Defense Force, I certainly have, but at least they have a reason. A bad reason, but it's a reason. Visit twitter.com for your Pokemon Defense Force tweets, and you'll start to notice a pattern where all the defenses go something along the lines of, why do you care? As opposed to, you know, justifying the price, which I find fascinating, because if they actually believed it was fine, they would have a reason for the price. And yet, mysteriously, everyone seems to lack one, and is just annoyed at being called out for not having one. It's never, here's why I bought this, it's always, why do you care that I bought it? The best defense that I've seen for Pokemon being $20 was still only like half a reason. The guy basically said, well, it was $10 in the Wii U eShop, and then it's $14 now with inflation, and then just round that up to 20 because, you know, fuck it. The obvious point about the inflation thing is that it assumes the game has not depreciated in value at all in the past few years, which it obviously has. But even if we took the inflation point as a completely valid reason, there was also another $6 added onto that for, I don't know, fuck it. So even the best reasons these people can come up with is still only half a reason at best. I would say that I hope people continue to get scammed, but someone made the joke on Twitter that if Nintendo had set up a Patreon account, these people would be paying for it. So at this point, I'm not sure there is a scam that these people wouldn't fall for. So there you go. And as for the last topic, it's about the Sequelitis drama that's come up recently. Admittedly, maybe I shouldn't talk about it on the bunker because every time the Sequelitis does come up, I do consider making a video about it because I do think it deserves like a proper defense. Luckily, what I'm talking about today isn't exactly a defense of the video, but more so a criticism of the attitude people have against it. A while back, a YouTuber named Noodle made a video about the Zelda Sequelitis, and one of his big criticisms was that Aaron portrayed Ocarina of Time fans like a drooling homunculus. Me and a few friends of mine reacted to the video, and a big point that I made was that Aaron was not portraying all Ocarina of Time fans like that. He was portraying reactionary Ocarina of Time fans like that. Anyone who was going to see the video title or hear the video topic and then instantly get mad and then leave a comment and then leave mad, that's who Aaron was portraying as the idiot. And at the time, that was kinda just speculation. Very well-founded speculation, but still technically speculation. However, I have rarely ever felt this vindicated because since I made that comment, Aaron went on twitter.com to say he never meant to make people angry and that was just a product of the time he made the video in. And a lot of the responses to that tweet say something like, oh my god, I had no idea you had the perspective. And all that proves to me is that Aaron was right to portray them as a drooling idiot in the first place, because at the end of the Sequelitis, if we all remember it, because of course we all watched it in full, Aaron says at the end of the video he did not mean to make people angry. Every single criticism of the Sequelitis that is not just outright saying that Aaron's criticism is wrong, is a criticism that was responded to by the end of the video, and yet these people just never even thought about it, which means that none of them watched the video in full because they're all reactionary, drooling idiots. I'm not even a big fan of Aaron, but I gotta feel a little bit bad for him, right? He covered all of his bases 15 years ago, and people still ignore the things he said. How would it feel to have one of the things you're probably most known for be a thing people hate you for that they never even watched, and clearly know nothing about? Cause it would drive me crazy. That's it, get out of here.